It's getting that time of year. We're about 6 weeks, 8 weeks from being able to ride, so we brought the 86 Honda 500 in and my Mako 500. These are a nice pair of bikes. We're going to inspect the top end in the Honda. We come up with a way to make that gas tank a little better. That bike come out of Southern California, so, the gas tanks always look like that, but we know what to do about that. It's an evolution of a build. That's a nice bike. My old Mako. First year of the water cooled, that's an 85. You guys know what's going on. We're probably going to get some snowmobiling in still. That or we're going to be playing in the mud there. Sorry about the hand, guys. Hey, we got this G660 of Luke's here. This is a Hudtzle Forma. You guys are wanting to see a Hudtzle Forma build. This is a Hudtzle Forma. And a bearing failed in it. So, one of the main bearings. There's a flywheel side. Okay? When you start trying to find the parts for the new parts for the steel to put in these, you get a fortune. You can end up with $600-700 just getting the top end and the crank. Okay, so what we're doing is we're doing what we know to do. What's the best options? I've had good luck with the NWP crank so far. One has not failed me yet. I find them to be good quality. They're nice. The thing is, these G660 cases are just slightly different. There isn't a lot of room on the sides of the crank. You got to center that crank if you use one of these cranks. And I'm probably going to do this two different builds because my old Dave there, red, white, and blue saw, has got an awful lot of compression. I can get the darn thing running, I know it, but I'm going to tell you what, you're really pulling on that. And I think the compression is too much. So what we did, we come up with a high quality piston, but it's a flat top. I want to try that. I want to see what this does. I'm going to send man the best that he can have, is what I'm going to do. I know Luke well. He's a good egg. He wants a saw. You blame him? Goodness sakes. Okay, let me show you a little something here. Let's get this down in here. See, right here and here, you don't have a lot of room. You really don't. So you got to tap that crank back in two just a bit. That is a nice looking rod, ain't it? You got to tap that crank back in two just a little bit to make sure that's centered. This here, I actually did it with feel gauges. I was wanting it as center as I can get it. It rotates nicely. It really does. Got real high quality bearings and seals in this. And I got enough mixed oil on the bottom of this to make the dog gag, so I'll probably have to deal with that. I do have to trim just a little bit more off the bottom of the skirts to get it to clear. This is a 100cc build, 99 point something or other. You might as well call it 100cc. It's a big bore. Because of that, you build a lot of compression just because it's a big bore. And I'm really piped about this build. I really am. We've got a really nice cylinder here. I haven't ported it yet. We're getting the numbers. And piston has a nice fit to this cylinder. Very nice. We're getting there. I gotta just keep plugging along. These type of builds, when you're working with these Chinese saws, you really think about what you want to put into them. You really do. I'm not going to use the ignition that comes with these. For sure, put the parts in the cases, the good bearings, the crank, good piston, good cylinder. Something that you at least can trust, because you can deal with anything else after that. I had to change the flywheel on this one. I had a couple broken fins. It looked like a bolt went through it. I'm not sure if that happened or not, but the fins were laying in the bottom, but we put a new flywheel on. Yeah, we used Farmer Tech. We had one. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think I've got the ignition here that I'm using now. I think. Let's just see if this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. It's a DZE ignition. Just got to put our boot on. But this is what I'm going to run in this. Ryan at Wolf Creek Saw Shop out in Colorado said these will run pretty good. Why don't you try it? We're doing it. Sure am. When I built Old Dave, I tried a stock one. I tried the Farmer Tech one. And there was another brand one that I had that we can't get anymore. I tried all three just to see. And I was really surprised. The Farmer Tech actually run pretty darn good. But I settled not for a stock one, not a factory one. I like the way that the other brand that I used to be able to get, I can't get anymore, run the best. But because we want to test parts, I'm going to run one of these DZs in my Old Dave. Old Dave's been a prototype for this kind of stuff. And I'm using the same stuff here as I used in Old Dave. I'm going to tell you that right now, other than I had a pop-up piston, who I'll still do. We're going to run an Oregon clutch on this saw. It's the right thing to do. I don't want to have problems with the clutch slipping a little bit. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I didn't run this saw because obviously I had a problem. We could try it. In fact, let's do that. Let's just try it with the Chinese clutch. And then let's put the Oregon clutch on. Let's use this as a good example. What can you do? Are these as good as steel? Oh, probably not. But they're way cheaper and they're fun. This is stuff you guys can do. You can afford to play with these. You really can. Just put your good parts in them. The G660 is the easiest saw there is, in my eyes. That's in my opinion, okay, to change the bearings and everything. And they're very, very simple. They don't fight with you. The seals go in pretty good as a rule. The only thing I don't like about these is they didn't have the notch for the high idle. So you had it for the choke. Well, these switches on a steel design, you go to choke and then you go to high idle. You got to click it up once. Well, you got to fiddle and fart around to do that. You guys know that. Some of you guys, that's the reason you don't like steel. Just because of the switch. Sorry, that's the way they did it. Mail came today. Got a couple neat little surprises. Pat, I got something in the mail today for you. Pat Sawn Lynch. Look at this. This man felt sorry for me. I just hadn't even bothered to order these. These aren't very much money. What they are is the piston ring clamp, the compressors, you know. And it's from Kevin Canyon. Kevin, you're in Spencerport. You know how close you are to me? It's ridiculous, isn't it? You're about an hour and a half drive. My son works up in Rochester all the time. I was really surprised. Thanks, man. You know, little things like this really make a difference. I'm using them, and these are the right ones, Kevin. Good job, brother. Good job. I bought my Mako up there at Spencerport. Yes, I did. That's where I got my Mako a while ago. Well, longer now. But we are using these, and we're going to use them on this saw. I had a heck of a time getting the tubing for them special mufflers. I don't build special mufflers and just ship them out. I'm not going to get into it. I can't even get the darn saws built as fast as I want to, so we're not getting into the special mufflers. We got these bikes in here because these are the fussiest ones to work with that we have. You know, I've got a really nice KTM 250 that I rode it once, and that's all I've done. And I've got to just go through, we did a good rebuild on it. And I just got to go through and check a few things, and I'll ride that some because that KTM 250 two-stroke, everything I got's two-stroke, everything, just everything. I want to ride that pretty bad because that is a competition bike. It ain't just a normal bike. It's a competition bike. This one is. This is not what you just run of the mill get out of a dealership. This is the real deal. This is the one that it's got the earmarks it was raced with, but the frame bottoms aren't flattened yet. So, and there's steel frame on this one. This is a 95. It's a real oddball year. It's boy, they had awful good brakes and forks and the best of everything on this bike right here. I'm gonna tell you something. I want to show you something. You ever seen these saw buddy? Well, if you noticed in here, I got shelves right full that for my personal saws up in the top here. Yeah, these shelves here. I got them right full. Yeah, they're right full. I gotta have more shelves. Well, he's seen this, my logger buddy did. And what it does, it mounts right on the wall with a couple lag screws. Find a stud, mount it right up. Little hook here holds their front handlebar. Boom, away you go. They're like $8. And he bought this over at a local store. I know one thing. I'd like to have about a dozen of these. That sure would be. I'll have one right there. You watch. Haven't done a video for a few days. The object is to try to spend more time out here putting these saws together because I just love doing this. But I had a little break in weather, and we had stuff that was broke down, things that had to be taken care of, so I just went and hammered it out, and I got my 1-ton going. That was a pain in the butt. 97 1-ton dually, club cab, so it's got back seat. Back seat's cool, you can fill it right full of chainsaws, it's really neat. And this truck's been down for a while. It's got 454 Vortec. So it's got fuel injectors, 8 of them. And I was blaming it on this and that. And I'm a carburetor guy and a distributor guy, and that's the way it is. Man, I opened the hood on that. There's no hope. Well, Greg, thanks, man. A friend of mine owns his own shop. Took time out of his personal life, and he came down. He diagnosed it for me. He says, Harvey, your fuel pressure regulator. He says, bam, watch this. 60 pounds pressure, drop. When the pump stopped, drop right down to 0. I said, okay. He says, do this, do that, and you'll get it fixed. Well, that isn't just a very good explanation to me, but here's what happened. We had to take the whole darn top of that freaking motor apart. I mean, the whole thing. We moved things off of that probably we didn't have to. We did it anyway because it was fun, huh? And way out back there underneath that distributor and way packed back where that manifold was, I mean, god dang, they're freaking a foot high. There's this tiny little pressure regulator with a vacuum hose on it. And they're about $80 for just something that big. And it was a bugger, I'm going to tell you. It was the hardest thing I'd done in quite a while. Of course, you're leaning them. They got them front ends out so far on them that you're just scrambling up there and you're leaning. But we got it. My boy Colin helped me, and we got it. If it wasn't for him, some of the stuff would take longer, a lot longer. He does a lot around here for us. He actually does a lot for this channel, Colin does. So when you see the poor kid sitting here getting in the video and he ain't saying nothing, just think of him and think of me, the fact that he's a main part of this. He really is. I want to continue on with this. I was just informed that I got to haul more hay and I got to go work on a dump truck. A friend of mine is a contractor. He's retired, but seems like he's busier now than he ever was. How many people did that? Retired and went to work. Yeah. So, he just kind of does his own thing. He's got equipment. Well, you got a problem with a dump truck, so 1-ton. And people around here come to me for help on things that they can't figure out themselves. Well, Maybe I don't know it, but there's one thing I do know. I know how to sit there and talk to the man and say back and forth, and you get 2 or 3 heads together. Next thing you know, you got a problem solved. And there's quite a little group of us that live here locally that work with each other all the time. You know, no money changes in. We just work with each other, just so we can keep each other afloat and keep each other going. This is the way it should be. I love your saw, man. I didn't know if I'd want one of these blue or not, but that's a nice blue. I can't wait for this one to run. I'm really happy. So far, I'm happy with the saw. People, I got to get going. We got things to do. We got bikes to build. Just for pleasure. We don't race these. I'm going to tell you what. I had that Honda CR500 out on a no bullcrap, full-blown motocross track last year, and we videoed it. But the problem is, the camera was off to the sidelines, freaking crashed and quit working, and my GoPro they had on me, because the jumps were so violent, it went right down. All you could see is the front tire. Well, we went out for the second heat and did the same thing. You couldn't keep that. You can't make big jumps with a GoPro with the mount we've got. I don't know how to... it wasn't that I was doing anything bad, because I'm pretty laid back at my age. But I was the first 500 of anything, two-stroke, to ever be on that track. And I was also the oldest man that's ever been on that track. This is not an amateur track. But I was the oldest man. They told me if we come back next year, I get in free. Yep, get in free. Just boom, do what you want. And boy, them young fellas, they got the biggest charge out of me. They really did. And I loved them right to death. It was so much fun. It really was. Yeah, we got winter left. We got mud right now. We're getting warm days. Trying to get a little edge on all the stuff that just gets neglected during the winter here. I'm trying to play a little catch up. And you don't even want to see how far my shop. I've been just throwing shit. Boom. Yep. Scrapyard or dumpster, one or the other. Stay safe, people. We're on a roll now. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for subscribing. You really mean a lot to me, all of you, every one of you. Thanks for the tools. Spend support. Amazing. I'll show you another little view. I just love these bikes. Hogan, you gonna ride one of these buggers when you come out, man? Get you and Bucket on one of these. What do you think? That or maybe something a little smaller. We'll just see how that rolls out. You might not want to ride these. Stay safe, people. Goodbye.